during eclipse season, the universe is going to push you in a direction that you cannot deny. The part where free will comes in is how you're going to show up. Are you going to have the free will to kick and scream and say, this isn't for me, be very grippy to the experience? Or is your free will going to be used to surrender and understand that you don't know everything?
Welcome back to Collectively Rooted. I'm Leslie.
And I'm Alexa B.
We have our lovely friend, Deanna. Cosmic D, yeah. Today to talk about all things cosmic.
Hi, guys. I'm so happy to be on this beautiful podcast, this invitation, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you
It's been exciting. Yeah, I'm ready to wow the audience.
Well, she's a friend of ours, and everyone's out. I'm wowed. So, mind blown.
Yes. Thank you for coming and bringing your lovely info to us.
So, D, who is Cosmic?
Who is Cosmic D? Funny you ask. I don't know. I think that's something that everybody should really ground into as well. Like these labels, these avatars that we wear, I think that loosening the attachment to what that is, social media handles, websites, all of these constructs can be so limiting. So to answer your question, who is Cosmic D? I have no idea, and I don't think I ever want to know. She's ever evolving. It's always evolving. I think when I first felt this call to be a bit more vocal on social media and to use my voice and to really be okay with wanting to talk about things, I started an Instagram thing that was Deanna the Healer, and I thought that was like, it was so silly, and somebody had called me out. Actually, I'm lying. No, it was Baby Yoda. I remember I made a little little Instagram, and the first handle name was Baby Yoda because I was obsessed with Baby Yoda in that HBO show that got really popular right before the pandemic. No, it was something on HBO.
Oh my
If
God.
you're
See the intro.
Sort of like a G, I think. If you know what we're talking about if you are a Star Wars fan. So Baby Yoda had its time right before the pandemic, and I really connected with that. And it's funny because I would start to talk a little bit more philosophical and a little bit wiser in my corporate setting. And then that was like probably 2019. On my birthday in 2020, a bunch of my girlfriends at work got me Baby Yoda shirts. And I was like, all right, let me start a little Instagram handle. And then that evolved into Deanna the Healer, which was not for me at all. It felt so restricted. It felt so new age. It felt so not me. And I've always loved astrology. I've always loved and been fascinated with the psychology behind a human. And astrology is a tool that I use to look deeper into myself, in addition to the reflections back from the universe. Example, both of you.
Yes.
And I didn't want to limit myself to just astrology. There's tons of cosmic, ethereal things that I'm into in the mysticism of the unseen realm. So I thought Cosmic D was a pretty broad umbrella, so I can be an ever-changing avatar.
I love that. I do agree with you when these titles and all of that, it just really does limit ourselves, because I've had the same issues when making handles on Instagram, and I don't even know why does it have to be a thing? I just let me do what I want to do. Now I'm stepping back because I have to think about this thing, and days go by sometimes and I still don't know what to put, and I'm just like, I have no idea.
A mentor, I love that. A mentor of mine gave the perfect, this woman, German was her first language. I would look to her very early in my journey with gaining confidence to be a little bit more vocal on social media. I was very fearful of spelling things wrong or making mistakes and everything. And she said something that changed my perspective on everything. She said, your message, your frequency, your vibration will vibrate higher than anything that words can put to it. So when you read my, I think she did weekly horoscopes, and if there's something spelt wrong, and you overlook it because you're vibrating at a higher vibration, just trying to get the message. And that really allowed me to have a little bit more grace with myself in this experiment of showing up.
I love that too. Yeah.
It's funny you guys are saying this, and I'm on the opposite side where I just recently closed a chapter. not really close the chapter, just it's like turning on the page, I guess, and reevaluating where I am because I'm going to be teaching and all that. But my push and grow that came from when I first started everything, which was like push through it and grow, right? I changed my handle to Alexa Therapy because my spiritual mentor was okay, you have to have your name somewhere in your social medias. And who is pushing God? Why, you know, like, they don't know your name. And I'm like, oh, well, that's how my organite people, like everybody knows me as Fish and Grow. That's how I felt. And one day I was on one of my organite brothers of Gaia, their live, and I was talking to them, and I realized they probably didn't know it was me because of Alexa Therapy. They know my name, but they didn't. They're like, oh, and where do you live? In South Florida. You know, I was like, that's weird that they're asking me this stuff. And then it got to the point where they're like, oh yeah, we have friends that live there. But when you guys are down here, you know, we're supposed to link up actually. And they're like, oh, I was like, I was pushing girls, you know, and now they humble, you know. They're like, oh, we know you're pushing girls. Oh, that's of course, you're one of the friends we were saying that we knew. And so that made me feel like, oh damn, people knew me as that. And now they have to close that chapter. And now I have to be, well, me. I'm always me, but you know, I was known as something else, I guess, because it was a different. So now I'm coming, I'm like, oh, okay, so who am I again? Who am I again?
The age-old question: Who am I? Who am I?
I did see your handle change, and at first I was like, "Who the hell is Alexa B Therapy?" Because I know I don't follow a lot of people, and the ones that I have see stuff from constantly are the people that I know. And it was showing up on my stories at the fourth person or third or whatever, and I was like, "Who the hell is this?" When I clicked, oh, she changed it.
Yeah. So you see,
I was about to like talk shit. Instagram just gave me something I don't even know.
Well, they do have a lot of updates, and
Yeah.
now there's one where people could find your location.
No, yeah, I did turn that thing off with that.
And it's funny, cousin Dia, cousin D. What do you say? Wow. So Deanna, when I'm with other people, I'll be like, oh yeah, my friend, this and that, and I talk about you, but I don't say who you are. And then that's where I started calling Cosmic D because everybody's like, oh, you mean Cosmic D? And I was like, yeah, Deanna, yeah. Okay, so maybe, I don't know. And then we had a conversation about Cosmic D. Yeah, no, call me Deanna. You're my friend.
Labels are so, as a Gemini rising, we'll get a little bit into the astrology now. I have the planet Uranus sitting on my ascendant, the avatar that you see in front of me, in front of you, in front of all of us. And with the planet Uranus, it's all about breakthroughs and liberation and freedom. So I am in a season of saying like big middle finger to anything and everything that limits me. Even like showing up here and being invited to talk about astrology. There are times when I hear myself on social media talking about astrology and I'm getting bored with it. There is something that there's an embodiment that's being asked to grow beyond these sacred tools. They've helped me. They've gotten me this far. I will never forget about them, but there's new gifts to uncover. And I think that's something really important too, especially right now with Uranus being in the sign of Gemini. Like we are all waking up on such a kundalini activation type of vibration. There is a new awakening. I think these awakenings come in waves. We've seen them play out the past 20 years, and we are on the precedence of a brand new awakening.
What is, okay, so you're saying, I say Uranus, I don't know why.
It's fine. So Uranus. I used to say Uranus all the time and people would make fun of me. So
Uranus in Gemini, but then there's not a full one. An eclipse in Virgo? I don't know. How does that play out?
Presently, the weather is wild. If you are listening to this podcast in September, we're in it. Eclipses happen every 6 months. They are a realignment with your destiny. There can be a very healthy debate on what is free will and what is fate and destiny. And this is kind of the intersection of when both cross. And I like to tell my clients and anyone that would listen to me is that during eclipse season, the universe is going to push you in a direction that you cannot deny. The part where free will comes in is how you're going to show up. Are you going to have the free will to kick and scream and say, this isn't for me, be very grippy to the experience? Or is your free will going to be used to surrender and understand that you don't know everything, that there is something much greater than you working to your advantage? And if you just can open your mind and understand that everything is always working for you, never against you, then the vision I get is like a slide. You'll be able to slide down a lot easier. So right now we are coming this Saturday, September 6th. I'm sorry, September 7th or 8th, depending on where you are. We will experience a lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. Accumulation, a high point, a crescendo around the Pisces area of your natal chart. The sun is in Virgo. The moon is in Pisces. So there is a duality. There is an axis, that Pisces-Virgo axis, which is all about healing. Virgo is, how do I serve? How am I of service to God in this 3D dimensional world, in this earthy plane? If you know any Virgos, they're always here working out the details, looking at the details of things in this manifestation we call life, right? Mm-hmm. They're they love the details. It serves them well. Pisces, if you know any Pisces, they are very ethereal. They are whimsical. They want to just look at the clouds, get a little high, and daydream. And there is a beautiful polarity between both of these signs. Where can we schedule and be detailed and also relax a little and trust in something bigger than ourselves?
Mm. Mm. Wow. I got goosebumps when you said Pisces. Every time I hear the word Pisces, I get goosebumps. I don't know why. But I wanted to ask you, since we're talking about astrology and the eclipse, first off, for the people that may not know, are you able to tell us what is astrology and why does it matter?
Absolutely. So, my interpretation of astrology, there are so many different branches. There are so many different ways to look at one's chart, the stars. However, neither is right, neither is wrong. You go with what resonates with you. Personally speaking, I have gravitated to Western Hellenistic whole sign astrology. That is what you would usually see on YouTube with horoscopes. There's Placidus, that's a way to look at the different house systems and stuff. There's Vedic, there's sidereal. There are all these different types of astrology. And for me, astrology is, I probably use this example to both of you.
Yes.
A clock. If you were to break open a clock and all of the pieces inside of a clock fall on the floor, you'll start to see all the different dials. You have the sun, which is the center of the solar system, and all of the planets go around the sun, just like the minute hand, just like the hour hand and the second hand. So it's a way to tell time. It's a way to look at these archetypes in the sky, these planets that are archetypes. They go into zodiac signs, which are more archetypes. And then you use the sacred geometry. So when you hear that there's a full moon, what does that mean? That means that there is an opposition 180 degrees from the sun to the moon, geometry, a line right in the circle. And that sacred geometry is speaking to, the planets are speaking through the sacred geometry. And that's how I interpret astrology. It is a language. You uncode all of this, you decode all of this using sacred geometry and languages.
Interesting.
I recently met somebody who, and it's been a while, who was like, "Oh yeah, I don't believe in that," and I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool, all right."
I used to know so many people that always said, "I don't believe in that," and I'm like, "How do you not believe in that? That's what's got stuff moving around
like,
here. Like, I don't understand
when you
that."
plant a tree, when you plant,
Right.
or
The moon.
do anything when you sow, right? And then also when you harvest, when you cut your hair.
Your hair.
So everything goes according to.
And I think it's really important. I love that you said that, because I would say I'm 39 years old. The majority of my life, up until recently, I was like a closeted astrologer. So if you found me on the street, I would have been like, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. And I think that's a really good thing to bring up because of the judgment that I've always felt that I may get believing or trying to think of something that isn't so tangible. I think that the woo-woo-ness of it, which it's not woo-woo-ness, we are really talking, we're trying to demystify all of it. Have compassion for the people who are not, who don't believe in it. But to both of your points, how can you not believe in it? The sun rises every day and sets. To me, that's astrology.
Absolutely. And when I here, like you said yourself, that you don't believe in it, or I've actually more that I've heard though that's witchcraft, and I'm like, what? Because this goes way back. There's people going back to what you said, Alexa, with the garden. They don't touch things in their garden until a planet or moon or something or star is somewhere, and depending on what's going on is what they do in their garden, if they even go to it or go, some of them don't even step out in the soil or touch the soil unless something's happening in the galaxies.
Totally.
So that's why I'm like, how is that? When people would tell me that, I'd be like, oh, okay. And for a while, I believed in it, but I was very quiet about it.
Right.
Very, very quiet, because I'm getting judged for something that I just feel is so true.
And I think too, I have a lot of earth in my chart. I have a Capricorn stellium. I am the earthiest of earthiest. And I think Alexa and I have spoke about this briefly in our friendship. There's a level of, I got to see to believe. I got to touch to believe. So I understand where people are coming from, where they're like, well, these are just words. How can I? But nothing, I repeat, nothing fills me up more than when the astrology is so stinking literal. I'm going through that right now with the planets and where they are. With presently right now, Saturn has just moved back into the sign of Pisces, where it will stay until, I want to say, mid-February. It is covering a part of our chart that was covered mid-April until end of May. So if you're listening to this podcast in September, I ask you to reflect back at what was going on in your life between mid-April until end of May, because Saturn, the planet of structure and determination and boundaries, contraction, is moving over an area of your part that it already experienced. So this literal manifestation that I am experiencing with this energy that I just explained, it's wild. I started a job. I shouldn't even say I started a job. I literally track this like I don't even know what. Like, I write notes and take metrics on everything. I have the time I got a text, the time I sent a resume, so I can look at the different charts. That's what I get my kicks off of. So on the spring equinox, I got a text from an old coworker saying there was a job opportunity. And I was like, this is not a coincidence. So then as the month moved forward, I tracked it and I got the interview the second that the sun was at that 29 degrees of Pisces, or Saturn was going to. All of that to say, I started the job end of May. This summer has been crazy. The second that Saturn moved back into Pisces on September 1st, an old boss of mine is now working at my job. That's like when and it makes whenever there's a retrograde, things from the past, people from the past, situations from the past.
Retro.
In my house of career and work and public facing image, when the astrology happens, that chef's kiss. It's just the best. The best. The proof is in the pudding.
So that you spoke about Saturn. I have heard, like I told you before, I've listened to many different things about astrology and whatnot. And a lot of them, not all of them, they speak somewhat badly or fearfully of Saturn.
Like it's dull.
Or that it could bring you this, be ready for if like Saturn returns. And can you explain a little bit about that? In your eyes, is it even a thing like that, or is it something else?
I love that question. And as a Capricorn sun,
Right.
stellium of Capricorn, I know Saturn very well. I have Saturn on my moon. Like, Saturn speaks to me. And the best thing that I can say, an astrologer that is a mentor, or I looked up to them very, very deeply, the best example that she gave me was Saturn, if we think of, is a grandfather who you go to every summer, and he asks you to weed in the dying heat every summer, all the summers that he's alive, and you are just working and working and working. However, when he passes away, he leaves you just massive amounts of money. Saturn is here to teach you lessons. Saturn, even so, it's fascinating too to like look also through astrology, if as women, when we are giving birth, if you had a trying labor, seeing where Saturn was, because Saturn is contraction. Like if you had a challenging, your contractions, like this is something new that I'm learning. It's really cool. The way that Saturn is with our naked eye, if you look out in the sky, the furthest planet that we can see with our naked eye, it's the boundary. We can't see anything beyond that with the naked eye. It's our limit. We can't see anything further than that. Again, limitation. It's also within the archetype of Saturn, it's a lot of devotion and commitment. You have a person with massive Saturn or Aquarius, Capricorn placements. They're in it for the long haul. They're in it for commitment. They're in it to see it out. They're loyal. Saturn is an earthy planet. It's also in the time of death. Like it's in December, January. So Saturn in traditional, I'm sorry?
Rest area.
No, think of like the winter solstice, like everybody in winters
is dying.
Yeah,
it's a
think of
death
your
and
garden in
rebirth.
winter.
It's
I mean, they're resting. They're living it first.
Think your garden in the winter.
Yeah, there's a lot of death that happens.
Dry,
There's a
yeah.
lot of new. You got to die to be reborn, right?
Absolutely.
So again, I think it's just, it can be construed because at times, yes, it's difficult. It's challenging. Everyone's Saturn return. But if we all didn't have Saturn returns, we wouldn't be the people who we are today. We wouldn't learn the lessons that we learn embodying. Saturn is here to make the world a better place. I truly, truly believe.
Do I have Saturn in my thing? Do you know off the top of your head?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
But is it true that Saturn return happens and usually in your 30s?
So it takes 29-ish years for Saturn to go all the way around the sun. So we can anticipate, or at least having 2 Saturn returns in your life, 3 ideally. But I think too, the first one usually hits you just a freight train because you're not really expecting it.
Yeah.
It is a time where there is a clear a line drawn in the sand where it's like you've been a kid this whole time. Are you going to man up?
Yeah.
And through that portal, through that, and I would say someone's Saturn return ultimately lasts 2.5 to 3 years because Saturn stays in that zodiac sign that long.
Wow.
I know I told you when we had our session, you were telling me something about Saturn, whatever, and to be ready for it because, it's coming within the next 10 years or so for me, a little bit more. And the second one, and you had asked me about my first one, and I was like, yeah, it was bad. Like you just hit a freight train. And I was like, I did. It was just, and for me, I was fine all the way to the night. The next day I woke up, I was fine, went to work, was great life, corporate money. I was just, that afternoon I went to see a doctor and I hit that freight train and everything just crumbled.
It spiraled down.
And stopped. It was like, there was absolutely nothing I can do. And I was in so much control until then. And that's I hated it. I was very angry because I didn't know anything about what I know now. I couldn't understand it, I understand none of the stands. And looking back 6-7 years ago, I needed that.
Totally.
I so needed that.
I think my Saturn return is what made me a true believer of astrology.
Yes.
There is no way that when I got my first reading and the gentleman sat in front of me and told me things around that time and it touched at such a deep level where I was like, I'm sold. This is the proof. It was such a challenging time of breakups and divorce and over-identifying with another person within a relationship that there's no way anybody could have known that. To the detail, to the timing of things.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. I love it, but at the same time I respect it and I have no idea anything about it, but I love hearing it. I love to sit with it. I tell my husband all the time, if I was very beyond wealthy, I think I'd have somebody in astrology living with me.
Totally.
Which they do. The higher elites do.
Oh, yeah.
Like they don't do anything unless they consult that person.
Yeah.
Financially, all of that. Well, Warren Buffett, I believe, is very vocal about that, having an astrologer.
Yeah. And it's so wow to me. Going back on the other thing you said about when you've given birth, if you've given birth, about the charts or the planets or everything, how it is at that time, if you had a bad labor and whatnot. I did, so I wonder if I'm gonna reach out. They tell me
That's interesting.
Bad. It was 3.5 days that I just wanted to just die.
I'd have to, we have to dig a little deeper, but that's very interesting. Yeah, and I was actually going to bring a book because it brings out the archetypes of the outer planets, the Saturn, the Neptune, the Pluto, and the kind of archetypes that we as babies and mothers will undergo, and there's a lot that just the archetype of it makes so much sense. Like Neptune, right? It's a water. It's the highest octave of spirituality. To me, what is spirituality? Water. That's the essence of consciousness. So there's a level of like the fluids that were in your body, like what was going on with all the fluids within pregnancy. You can I don't know enough to go into detail with all this. I would be doing it a disservice, but it's a rabbit hole you can most certainly.
And for me, not only once my daughter was born, it was 3 weeks of her going through NICU and everything.
Interesting.
So I definitely am going to.
What year was she born?
96, June.
Huh.
But that was just, I will never forget it. It was to the point that I was just like, I think this is the way God's telling me you shouldn't have had a child.
Wow.
And I know that wasn't it. But at the moment, I was just bawling. I hated it. I hated the whole thing about it. And like, this is not what I've heard it's supposed to be. And then, of course, 13 months later, I have my son, and it was nothing. If it was spring, and it was just the best thing ever. But I'm wondering, because I didn't know that. I was like, who does? Why would this happen?
That's interesting.
And to the many other women out there that have gone through worse, I'm sure. But can you imagine?
Now it's just, I knew this, but now, oh my God, yes, everything.
Everything.
Just,
everything. So before you go think of fully getting pregnant, Dee, when should I get fully pregnant? When should I give birth?
I'm sold the numerology thing.
Me too.
You know, my wedding, everything with numerology. So it's like, everything is connected anyway. But yeah, I also as a dragon, 88, that all of the horoscopes, I think Chinese horoscopes, weird luck. We have the luck of the dragon, you know, instead of the Irish. I do want to talk about the mediumship stuff a little bit.
Tell me, let's talk.
Because I remember when we became friends, I think 2021, I found this really cool Alan Kardec.
The book?
The book, yes. There was a spirituality book, and then there was a mediumship one. And around that time, not only you, but my other friend who's a Capricorn, Nadia, were very, very in tune with your mediumship. I don't know what it's called. But then, you know, for her, stuff happened, whatever. There'll be times that I look at you and we're talking, and then you already know the things. I don't know. I don't even know. You're a medium. So can you talk about that?
Mediumship. That's interesting. I think the number one thing to talk about mediumship is that there's a lot of factors. The person who is looking for answers needs to be open. The person who's on the other side needs to be open. There's a lot of connections. You know, I don't know if I would classify myself as a medium because I don't really know how it all works. I know that I've experienced it. I know I've been in astrology sessions and been looking at their chart, and then a name will come in, an idea, a flower where it all connects. And then that's exactly what my grandma would say. So for me, there was always this, when I was really little and people would talk about that, talking to the dead, like, what is that? We all have a premonition or an idea of what it looks like. For me, I always thought it was somebody literally standing in front of you seeing somebody who's dead. But we all know that is not the case. Right. And we all know that it speaks to us basically without sight. I am somebody who's very audible, clear audible. Sometimes I'll see visions and stuff, but I hear a lot more. And I think that in my experiences, it really depends. When I have felt, so not to get into human design a little bit, but as a projector, when I feel an invitation, when somebody comes to my office, my Zoom, my Zoom. When someone comes to my Zoom, there is a real, you know, the claws that you would get, the little smushy things in the thing. The way I see it is this claw comes out of their stomach and it'll grip onto me. And for me, that is a lock and loaded. I am here now to truly guide. I can really feel whether or not that person on the other side of the Zoom is connected to me. And if they're not, it probably won't show up. There isn't, it's a little, this clear channel, just just goes back and forth, right? So in my experiences, I'm trying to think if it's really ever happened to, I've had better luck with women, and the people who have come through. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty freaking rad. I think probably the coolest one that's ever come through was a coworker of mine, and we were going through her chart and we were talking about a really trying time. It was actually something to do with her Chiron, which Chiron is all it's our wounded.
Yeah.
It's the wounded healer. It's where we suffer immense wounding in order to transmit it and to teach people this, to really show what we've experienced. So I was going over this with the client, and it was in her 8th house, and it was a lot to do with money, and we were going deep and asking all of these things and whatnot. And I brought up who is like with the J, like Jesus or Jesus. I think I said Jesus, not knowing that Latin Jesus. Right. And she just got completely white. And it was her brother who passed away, who, I don't want to say like got her in the pickle, but was there through a lot of the trying times during this Chiron placement. And that to me was just such a, you can't think. I think that's the beautiful thing about that I've learned when it happens and then I want to grip onto it, you can never do it. It's just being in the moment. Things too, I'll be at a hotel and just shooting the shit with the person, the register person, the concierge, and something will come up, and then you always know you've hit a bone when someone says, it's funny you say that. Whenever I get that in a client, in a conversation, it's funny you say that. That's my first inclination of someone speaking, someone bigger than me is speaking through. So that's my take on mediumship.
That's beautiful.
There's been a couple times that you, I don't know, will tell me things and I'm like, whoa. With Eric, I'm never going to forget because it really, you know what I'm talking about.
When you first met him?
It was around the time, around the time that I don't know if this is your forever guy, but I know that he's going to heal, not daddy issues, but
it was a lot to do with father. Yeah. A lot to do with father. And I don't even think I knew you that well. I kind of felt a little out of place because I didn't know a lot of the relationship with you and your father, but it was just like, you feel it. Like you can't, I don't know. I like to stir some shit.
I love it though.
And I like her like a disclaimer basically. I don't know where this is going. But
yeah. Ta-da! Surprise.
Going back to what you just said, Chiron. Can you explain to us more about?
Oh my God, I'm like one of the best people to explain about Chiron. Chiron is the Achilles heel of all of us. As somebody who has Chiron in their first house of Gemini, Chiron is here to just fuck you up. But I say that with the utmost respect because it truly is this beautiful archetype that you go through these wounds, you go through this pain, you go through just adversity. And ultimately, if you don't go through some shit, why are you here on Earth? I really do believe that you are put on Earth to go through shit and then to help people go through their shit. So having Chiron in my first house, I know what it's all about to wear the wounds proudly. I think a lot of people hide their wounds and are fearful of it. And if it's one thing that I can bring to the collective, it's, especially in the sign of Gemini, it's like, not thinking I'm smart enough or intellectually, can hold my own. And there has been tons of proof in the pudding to tell me that that is correct. But knowing now, again, this is how amazing these tools are, to have the awareness, to have one step higher, to see a broader picture of like really what it's about, right? That's what Chiron is for me. Also, too, this is beautiful. So we're all born with a Chiron wound. If you have Chiron, I don't have the literature to support this or the text. It's just been kind of story told down to me. And 98% of the time, I think it works. If you are listening to this podcast and you look at your Chiron and the degree that it's at, think back to that age, give or take a year or two on either side, right? This isn't a perfect science. But asking yourself what was going on in my life during that time will give immense clarity and perspective as to like, oh shit, like for me, I think my Chiron is at 10, as if I don't know. My Chiron's at 10 degrees of Gemini, and that to me was when the awareness of what other people's bodies looked like, a lot of my body dysmorphia started to really plant seeds around that. I mean, 10 years old, looking at one of my best friend's ankles and how skinny they were and how my ankles weren't. So of course, not skinny ankles means I'm obese and overweight, right? Like you just go to these extremes. A lot to do, I was saying, with just speaking and writing and punctuation and grammar and all of that. Just being really scared of fucking up and that holding me back. Chiron can really hold you back. So you go through this experience, and then at 50, you go through what's called your Chiron return. And this is really cool.
At 50, everybody?
Yes, everybody. I want to say it's around maybe
Like
51,
Yeah.
but it's 50 is a good number to experience this energy. And what happens is, if just the sun, just like Saturn, it takes 50 years Chiron takes 50 years to go around the sun. So it's going to meet back exactly at where your Chiron is. But in that 50-year journey, it's touching every planet, your moon, your sun, your ascendant. And to me, it's picking up messages. Hey, Chiron conjunct, the moon. Where have you felt wounded around nurturing? Well, you're gonna feel that in order to, when Chiron gets back to its place, to be like, we are healed a little bit more. We understand what went wrong, how we've worked it out the last 50 years, and really trying to. It's almost like the wise. Crone, right? Crone, right? You're a wise like crone at that point, where you've talk to all of these archetypes, all of these planets to get the downloads of feeling a deep woundedness with each archetype and how you can transcend it.
Wow. I think you told me my Chiron, I can't remember where it was, but it had to do with me speaking.
Yes, I do remember this conversation a bit.
And because you asked me, what is it? Why are you so afraid to speak? And da, da, da. And you're at 50, you're going to come back around. And so I see that you're somewhat healed a little better than you were
Yes.
from. You hopefully will be able to take it in and not feel like you hit a freaking brick wall.
Right. And I don't want to sugarcoat it. I am the last person to say like it's all butterflies and glitter, because it surely is not.
No.
However, you're equipped now with the general us. We're equipped now with this knowledge of like, all right, how do there's a theme. It's never going to be exactly how it was. Right. And that's something, too, that I really want to drive home to anyone listening. When astrologers are, look back, just like when we open this podcast up, look back into mid-February to end of May. I did a post on TikTok and got 15, 20,000 views with 500 comments of everyone being like, oh God, this person broke up with me. I wanted to bankrupt. Is that what's going to happen? And no, the energy is never exactly the same, but it's your job to follow the breadcrumbs, follow the clues, like really be a little like Nancy Drew detective. I mean, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine is in Cancer. I just checked it.
Cancer. Yeah. There's a level of where weren't you nurtured? Where weren't you taken care of? Yeah. Baby Alexa. my favorite character.
Oh man, this is I'm not anything. I try. Boy, do I try to look at that damn charts and the plan. And I'm like, you just hear it. I understand it better than me just sitting here trying to decipher this.
Well, that's why you hired Deanna.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's work for you.
Y'all, it's a must. We're going to leave all her stuff on the notes and links and everything. You have no idea. But be prepared, because she ain't sugarcoating, which I love. So.
I don't sugarcoat.
This Mercury retrograde that's been forever a thing. Why is it that astrologers, people, once it's coming up to it, the pre and post shadows, and during it, everybody's posting it, is talking about it, and they put so much fear and
they go horrible.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? And do you think it's that?
Number one, fear sells. We know that on so many planes of existence. So if it's a marketing scheme, why wouldn't we put some fear in it? I think that the Mercury retrograde is such a... what's the word? You're in such a juxtaposition. I understand why people fear it, because things aren't going to go. Mercury is a personal planet. Mercury is all about how we think, how we communicate, cars, technology. It's how we perceive our environment. It's how we learn, all of that. It's an archetype that we dance with daily. And if a communication, your technology, your car is obstructed, then there's going to be, you're going to source, God, cosmic consciousness is going to give you a little bait to be, hey, are you going to react?
Right.
How are you going to react in situation? So it really is an invitation. I always see Mercury retrograde as a Gemini rising, Mercury ruled sign. It's an invitation to potentially fall back into patterns, to become aware. What is God? What is consciousness? Awareness. And we don't get to, the only way that the universe continues to grow is because it becomes aware of itself. So these retrogrades, in a way, are for you to fall back into old patterns so that when Mercury starts to go direct, you realize, that didn't really feel that good. I'm going to make a course of correction. I'm going to change. Now, also, Mercury retrogrades in the context of delays of tech and cars and stuff, it's just if a train came in front of you, there's a level of protection as well.
Right.
I loved it in corporate America when shit wouldn't work. It was such a level of permission to be like, well, I can't work. I'm just going to lean into this a little bit more and not get frustrated. I think the fear, the frustration when people bump into these things that don't work smoothly is a sense of checking your ego because you can't control everything.
Absolutely.
So I think the fear stems from, in my opinion, at times, a lack of control.
I do have to say, I don't know if I call it fear. I am a Gemini rising, obviously ruled by Mercury.
You're a Cancer rising.
No, Cancer. Wait.
No, you're a Cancer rising, Gemini sun.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Gemini sun, Cancer rising, for sure. I don't get scared, but I'm very cautious. I even tell my whole family there's nothing you're buying I want to go get a car. I want to go buy a house. And they're always, for how long this time? And I'm 2 weeks before, 2 weeks at the end, you just roll through it. You'll be fine. If that car mindset of you wanting to buy a house or anything you want to drop a lot of money on is still there 2-3 weeks after the post shadow, then it's time for you to get it.
I think it's good advice. I do think that, but I also want to say that we can't live our life under the realms of astrology. So I also tell people that. I also abide by that. But when push comes to shove, I don't even understand that phrase, but when push comes to shove, and if things need to get signed or things need to do, then you have to just accept that this is the path. There could be, hiccups and I got to redo a few things, but ultimately that's what was supposed to happen.
And that's funny you said that because remember I told you about our land, the trade came during a Mercury retrograde. And I kept saying to my husband, I just really don't think we need to sign this contract. And he's like, the man's not going to wait here till whatever day I told him what's ending. And I was like, okay, we're going to go in there and we're going to read this contract. Really. And I was in there for a while that there's nothing but men and me, a little woman just sitting there, just reading. And they're all just, ma'am, if you want, if there's any mistake, we can correct it after. And I read it to a T, but no lie, we missed one thing. And it wasn't a big deal. It's going to get fixed, but I told you.
Right.
But I have to get away from that because I do let it really control.
It happens.
It
happens.
consumes me. Like with anything I do.
But like she
Internet
said,
and stuff, I don't care. Technology, but money? Yeah, no.
oh yeah, no. We're like
Big
coming to
money.
a Cancer to Capricorn. We're the opposite signs. So.
With big money.
Like you said, everything that happens to you is for you,
Right.
good or bad.
Yeah.
So if it, a little hiccup.
Yeah, it was a little hiccup. Yeah, it was nothing big. And the guy was nice. And he's like, oh, don't worry. When you guys come back, we'll fix it. And I was like, oh, God, thank God. But I kept just thinking, oh, my God, it's Mercury retrograde. All this signing right now. But I'm learning from it. Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Can you explain? I know most of the people, not a lot, but most of the people that we know this like the back of the hand. What does it mean on someone's natal chart? Their moon, their sun, and their rising.
Great question.
And how does that portray out to the world?
Yeah. In astrology, those are called the big three. There's so much that goes into astrology. So I think that it's a really great place to start to understand what astrology is, but it is the tip of the iceberg. The way that I like to explain it is your sun sign, everybody knows that is a very prevalent identity that we all have fun with. The sun is spirit. The sun is who you are to your core. It is without any type of gunk through a lens. It's your true essence. It's a lot to do. The sun also is a little bit of the ego. It is here to shine bright. A lot of people say too that you kind of grow into your sun sign a bit, I would say. I think that's correct, or it's the opposite. But to me, that's what the sun is. The moon has everything to do with how you nurture yourself, your home, a lot to do with the mother archetype, what was your relationship with your mother, looking at that. An astrologer once told me it's when you're drunk, it's kind of how you show up. There a lot can be, if you're somebody who partakes in that.
The true self.
The true self, right. But it's really the way that I think of the moon. It's how do you nurture yourself? I have a Sagittarius moon in my 7th house. I need to feel free in relationship. I need to have a level of adventure and exploration in relationship in the context. I love to travel. There's something very nurturing around traveling. So how am I showing myself love? And then I think my favorite is the rising sign, probably because I'm a Gemini rising, but it's the video game player. If you were to play a video game in this simulation, we all wake up and we hop into our bodies and we take on the video game called life. It's your avatar. It's how people are perceiving you, how the personality traits. It's how you're interacting with the world. That to me is the rising sign.
I'm a Leo moon. You're a Leo moon too. Mm-hmm. How do we nurture each other, Alexa?
What?
Creativity.
Creativity. That's true.
Creativity. Putting your I love theatrics and drama and being just a lot, not being afraid to be a lot. I think there's a level of performance, I guess you'd say. Not really.
You know who we are?
Tell me.
And I'm thinking of, have you seen Modern Family?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's your name? Sophia. Vergara. That's our Leo moon. That's our
so
moon.
True. That's so true.
In any shape or form. When she's crazy, when she's this, when she's that. When she's, oh, baby. When she knows she's fucked up.
Yeah,
because that's one thing we have in common.
I think the Leo archetype, a lot of actors are Leos. There's a lot of performers. There's a lot of people on a stage that are all about, so,
do you have anything coming up?
Yeah.
Offerings and whatnot?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Right now, I got a lot of things in the Nothing. I met with Danny. Did I tell you that? What is it? The one who did the cacao?
Danny, yes.
That beautiful space that's in Walton Manors.
Yes.
Potentially some workshops. I'm actually going to a workshop right after this to connect with a woman. There's a lot happening. So right now I don't have anything other than just the one-on-one sessions that I offer. You can find all that information in my Instagram link, my link tree, booking a one-on-one consultation. They run 75 minutes, recorded everything. It's such medicine to be able to re-listen to these things so you can be completely present during the session. That's really my main offering right now. Potentially some astrology woman circles that I may have a date. Keep on the lookout. Follow me _Cosmic D on Instagram. A lot. That's where I update a lot of the things.
What about your TikTok? What's your TikTok?
My TikTok is also _Cosmic D. However, TikTok is different because you don't get a link until you hit 1,000 people, and I just started this, so it's challenge. I would never promote myself really on there because there's no way to get in contact with me.
Oh, you can't at all
until you have 1,000.
Until you have 1,000 followers.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's a little different.
Okay.
And things with TikTok are changing so rapidly with them going away and coming. It's it's
the whole thing.
Just a portal.
Thank you for breaking it down
so much.
Not dumbing it down for us, but the way you explain things is very
I love it. Yes, that's it right there. And we're going to
you.
have her again for the human design.
I love it. I love it. Looking forward to it, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
Yeah.